Prosaic is the fourth full length from Portland, Oregon based black doom metal band, Mizmor. And the way we could look at this band, I guess, when we say doom, we probably mean something more approximated in the direction of sludge metal, as it is seen in relation to doom metal in the post 2000 era, as well as black metal that is heavily informed by atmospheric black metals, kind of uprising in the late 2000s, where they were obviously adjacent to groups like Ash Borer, per the other black metal groups that ALN, the main guy behind Mizmor, formed in the early 2010s. Mizmor started in Salem as an offshoot from Sorceress. Sorceress was a band that was around for about 3 or 4 years in the Salem area, and they sort of made a quick name for themselves as a mixture of modern kind of Electric Wizard era doom with some heavier elements and some more retro 70s heavy psych feeling. It's a really great band, really interesting record. I've talked about it before, Beneath the Mountain. And the transition to Mizmor was pretty interesting because ALN sort of a couple of the musicians from that group went out on their own either before that or around that time, and put out records in 2012 that sort of shaped the landscape of where they would head in the next 10 years. So in his case, it was what I always saw as a black and sludge metal band, which most people will generally say it's just doom. That's the way they see doom. And there are doom metal riffs in his music, so I'll concede on that point. Uh, let's say the, doom in the era of Paul Bearer and Bill Bellwitch, especially this Pacific Northwest sort of upsurge of popularity of different styles after the Agalloch thing sort of kind of faded out and moved on to other things. Anyway, um, this record is decidedly different in a lot of ways than the last few, but not necessarily the so different that it misses the key signifiers and signature of the band as he presents it and has presented it for the last 10 years. So we're not so much in the atmospheric black metal realm of the first record anymore, and we're not fully in the separation of the black metal and doom metal modes so much as we found on the first record. So this new one is a little bit closer to 2019's Cairn, and you'll notice that as soon as we jump into one of these songs and a clip right now. So to me, Mizmor's sound has always been a sort of a mouthpiece for atheistic, like a recovering religious feeling. There's a sort of um, yeah, there's a real philosophical bent to most of his work that is really important for the mood and the really strained extremism of it. And I don't know if that was more performative in the past, but it was always pretty effective. It seemed like it really drained the individual making the music, and the style of it is closer to something like Tombs or Wolfhammer in general, where the black metal and the sludge kind of make for a mid-paced black metal mode and a more extreme doom metal mode. And we could liken that to a lot of bands, but there's a certain cadence and style here that is his own. And you kind of feel that on this record even more. It's an emphasis on personality, which seems like in almost a folk, like a folk musician manner. He's feeling a little bit more common, a little more mundane, and more in his own skin, and presenting a stream of consciousness. Now, those might seem like harsh words, but really it's a down to earth kind of feeling, and in terms of what lyrics I can make out here, and the theme here. When you name your album Prosaic, I assume that's for a reason, and that should present those ideas up front. So this is the mid-paced black metal he's known for. It's kind of a jogging, differently syncopated this time around in terms of how the drums interplay with the guitars. It's kind of an interesting mode that plays out on the first and the last song on the album. And the middle songs feel a little bit more related to Cairn in terms of the acoustic guitars framing each song, and the way that they um, are generally put together. So the doom metal part of it is a little bit more, a little faster, a little bit more to the point. There's only a couple of songs where they just kind of chunk around a little bit, and for me, that it starts to feel a lot like, like an old Grief record I might have listened to, but more like a more modern, extreme version of it. So I enjoyed this record. I think I was expecting more extreme depth and detail when this record feels like it's meant to reinforce the personality. It's meant to find a medium that is acceptable to the artist and muse in the moment and feel something. I think that's kind of what I've seen a lot of people over the years comment about it, is that this is really great dramatic music and I like the general juxtaposition of styles, but where does the personality, the personal emotion come from? A lot of fans insert emotions into this type of music, but here I think in a lot of ways we get something that is kind of getting there, but really does just reinforce the what's interesting about the band and amplifies that general voice. So you're not going to find technical riffs or really impressive performances so much as expression, and I think that's always kind of been the case. I think that Karen was a little bit more tightly arranged and detailed in every moment. It was really entertaining to follow. And this one is maybe a little bit more laid back. It's a little bit easier going, and I didn't find there was a lot of reward for hanging on every second that there was something happening. So a little bit more chill. So that can be good and bad depending what you're looking for. I don't know that this feels like treading water or progression or what I would expect, but it's a nice album to listen to in terms of the atmospheric black metal feeling, the mid-paced jog a bit, and the doom metal adjacency that all kind of works together. It's worked in the past and it works here. So I think the production values are better than ever, basically. And I think the aesthetic is all very fitting and interesting. Once I have the lyric sheet, I'll probably be a little bit more interested in what the album has to say. But for now, I enjoyed this record, and it does get a high recommendation. A lot of that is quality. A lot of that is having enjoyed records of his in the past. So see what you think. Go ahead and read the full review. It's up on the site, and you'll have to wait a little over a week to listen to the album.